Welcome to Whole and Beautiful. Good evening and welcome. This is Whole and Beautiful. I am Angela the Oliphant, your host, and as you can see, we have Miss Andrea L. Hines with us on tonight from When Life Speaks.
Hey.
She is with us tonight. I was with her last night on When Life Speaks, and we're continuing the conversation. It's Carolina Conversations, y'all. We are ready on tonight to just have an awesome time like we did last night. We had a lot of feedback. People were talking. We want you to do that same thing tonight. We want you to like. We want you to comment. We want you to share this broadcast with somebody. And we want your comments tonight. So chime in as we are talking about faith after 50. Good evening, Linda. How you doing? I'm glad that you are here on tonight also. And those of you, as you're coming in, just chime in and say hello. We are glad to see that you're out there. We want to see that you're out there and we want to make you a part of this conversation. So if you have anything to say during the time that we're talking about the different topics, just chime on in, say what you need to say. And we're going to talk about what you're talking about also, whether you agree, disagree, whether you have an experience, not an experience, we want to know. Tonight, we're going to start back where we left off from last night, but we're going to go back through just a review of some of the things that we talked about on last night. But before we do that, Miss A, do you have anything that you want to say? Do you want to greet anybody this
evening? Well, you know me, I'm going to greet everybody. But I am so glad to be back tonight and to be able to continue this Carolina conversation. You've already got some people coming in and we say greetings to them. I know you greeted Linda and we're greeting Bernice who's coming in right now. And we've got other people who are on the line. We had a great time last night. Yes. And I got some really good feedback from some of the people who were on the program. So I'm looking forward to tonight. I am ready to continue this Carolina conversation. And we're just going to go forward and see what our viewers have to say, because we got some good input from them last night. And we love it when it's interactive like that. So yes. Yeah, I can't wait. I can hardly wait for us to get started. So I know you said you were going to do a little bit of a review for those people who are listening who may not have seen the broadcast yesterday. So you go right ahead.
Okay. Last night, we had different topics that we were talking about. Some of the things that we talked about last night about being valuable, being vibrant, being virtuous. We talked a little bit about that. And we went into one of the main things that we talked about last night was the respect part. Mm-hmm. And respecting those who are like in the 50 and above. And we had different people chime in about where they thought the respect was and how we should respect the those that are older than us. We talked about people being dismissive.
Right.
To people who are over 50 and doctor's appointments, different things like that, where it's like you become invisible and they don't see you anymore. You don't have a voice after that time frame. We talked about patience and having that patience with our older than 50 people, and just taking that time to spend with them when you're teaching them something, instead of just throwing it at them and then be like, oh, you can't get that, and then coming in and try to do it for them.
That was a big point last night.
It
having,
was.
yeah, yeah.
It was like, take your time and teach somebody and let them learn.
Right.
And you made a good point last night about the sharing of the screen so that they could see if you're technically challenged. But if you can see the screen and they can see the screen, then it's like, oh, okay, it's right there what they're talking about.
Mhm.
So, and we talked a little bit about that, and we talked about different things where people were coming to grips with. You talked about support, and the way that you brought it in, I was like, I didn't think about it that way. And I didn't get a chance to say it last night, but I was like, I didn't think about it that way. I was thinking my mind was going a whole different place. But when you talked about the support and being there and then accepting support from other people,
Right,
you
right,
need it.
right,
And I think that like hit too with a lot of people because you always think that you're going to be, oh, like I see myself sometimes as that sassy older person. You know, I'm just traveling, I'm just doing my thing and going places. And that could possibly, be. But then sometimes we will have those physical challenges
right.
and it may not go the way that we're thinking in our head.
That's right.
And we have to reach for the support of other people.
Mhm.
Um, Miss A, do you have anything maybe that I missed that we were talking about last night that I kind of just brushed over, or we want to go back in and talk about on tonight?
Not really, but just as a reminder that this all started because God had given me the phrase faith after 50. And when we asked people who were a part of our viewing and listening audience, when they heard that phrase, what did it mean? In some form or other, it always came back to what am I believing God for? What am
Yes.
I believing God for now? Now that I've, crossed over into the 50 category and above in some cases, what am I believing God for now? And
Yes.
and all of these other things that we had the opportunity to talk about last night were as a result of that conversation that we had with people, and just talking about the differences, what I was believing God for at when I was in my 30s, and the success, and believing for a spouse, or believing for
Yeah.
financial help, or believing for those kinds of things. Some of those things are just not as important to me once I have crossed the 50 line as it was earlier. My pre 50 and post 50 mindsets are different.
So
So
true.
we did talk a lot about that, and discovered some things, in line with what's important to me now. What
Yes.
that God wants me to do now, that He's positioning, that He has been positioning me for, actually, my whole life. So it's
Yeah.
having the faith for the now process that we're in, this season that we're in.
Yes, I agree because I was like that 50, like I was saying last night, I had to come to terms with, oh, I'm well into that 50 thing. So it's like sometimes you don't, it's like you're not conscious about, you're not thinking about
Right.
it. And then when you sit down and you was like, okay, I'm the older person that I used to talk about.
You go. Indeed, indeed. Indeed, indeed.
So it's like, now what do we do with this? It's because your perspective and everything starts to change. You start to think different. And like you were saying, we look at things totally different than you did when you were in your 20s and in your 30s and even in your 40s. It's
Mhm.
like things start to look a little different. And
Yes, they do.
oh, and like I said last night, Miss A, she had came up with it's the life languages. And we
Mhm.
were starting to talk about life languages last night. It was so good. that we went through the respect, we went through the patience, and we ended last night talking about support. And we're gonna talk about the rest of the life languages that we had listed, and we have some other topics we want to roll into and talk about. And like last night, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have things that you want to say, just
Right.
go ahead and put it in the comments. We will read them just like we did last night, and we'll have everybody chime in and come on in so that we can hear what you got to say, because we know y'all got some stuff that y'all want to say too. But when you were talking about support last night, it made me think a lot about just dealing with the fact that coming to grips with, I may not be able to do this anymore, so I may need that help from somebody else. And what I was thinking in my head, I was like, what makes us think sometimes, like when we're in that position of needing that support, that we don't want to ask for the help that we need? Is it that we think that we can still do it ourselves, or is it, I'm trying to like wrap my brain around, because with my mom, I know at one point it was certain things that she couldn't do after she had that accident, and I was like, I was trying not to do a lot
Uh-huh.
because I didn't want her to feel, oh man, just out of place and stuff, because I didn't want her to feel that way, but I didn't know what to do.
Uh-huh. And I think it's just that realization that you come to, that this is harder for me than I expected it to be. I have a friend, and I went to visit her the other day, and she was always on the go. I mean, when we were working together at IBM, she was Miss IBM. Let me tell you, she had her Rolodex, she had her equipment, she had, I mean, and put together, just beautiful, beautiful woman. And she still is a beautiful woman. But she was in her 4-inch heels, and she was rocking and rolling, you know. And she was the kind of woman that you look at and say, I want to be like her when I grow up, you know.
Yeah.
She's just that kind of person. And she started her own business when she retired from IBM, and just rolling, just rolling. And because of an injury that she had, and some surgeries that she has had to have, she is pretty much housebound at
Wow.
this point. She stopped driving a long time ago, and she felt very much like a lot of us do, that people are going to look at me differently,
Yes.
see me differently. They're not going to think of me the same way that they did. One big thing is I'm a burden.
Mm.
You know, I'm getting on everybody's nerves. Nobody wants to be bothered, you know, with me. And all of these things are going through your head. And these aren't things that you processed, because you didn't process yourself into the aging process. It's kind of like you woke up one day and thought, ooh, it took me an awful long time to get up out of that chair. I should have been in the kitchen by now, and I'm still trying to get up out of the chair. You know,
Yes.
things that have slowed us down, things that have made us operate differently. And I remember the day I watched my father walk across the front of the church, and he was bowed over a little bit, shoulders were a little more rounded, and he was walking very slowly. And I thought, oh my gosh, my dad's getting old.
Wow.
He is getting older. And I had to come to those grips at some point. And he used to tell me, just live long enough. You know, if I have lived long enough. Now, what keeps me from that is looking at the number of things I can do,
Right.
as opposed to looking at the number of things I can't.
Got you.
I don't stay in the place of what I am not able to do. I will do everything in my power to turn that around, because I know that there are a lot of people like my friend who are really, I mean, seriously unable to do things that they used to do, and it's scary. I don't. For me, I
Right.
found it to be a scary place to be in when you're always used to going and doing, and you're the one that people call on, and you're the one that people look to, and you've always been able to do it, and to be in a place of saying, no, not gonna be able to make that happen, and be okay with it.
Right.
Thing,
Right.
you gotta be okay with it. And I think that that has a lot to do with why we end up in that space.
Wow. Yeah. Because I remember, because just being going out and like working out and stuff, it used to just be a thing. Just go. I just hop right back into it. And this last time, it wasn't no hopping.
You, you weren't hopping as high as you used to.
I was like, oh my goodness.
I know, girl. I know.
I was like, I gotta push myself to get this done and getting up. I was that morning person. I would get up in the morning. It didn't faze me. I was in the gym at 5 o'clock, working out from 5 to like 5:45, come home, shower, do my hair, change, go to work, all of that. But now I'm like, oh no, that's not gonna happen.
And it's okay. It's okay. But
Oh,
sometimes someone will offer me help, but I refuse it because I want to keep the determination and will try to do it myself. We want to keep going. We want to keep
yeah.
going. I think that's very true, Bernice. A lot of us are that way, and sometimes we have to do what Linda said. The hop was gone.
Yeah, that hop left.
Sometimes the hop is just not there anymore, and you got to do it a little bit differently. But Bernice, I think you have come up with a very good point, and that point is we when we can, and we cannot always, but when we can push, we need to, because we are still in those three V's
Yes.
that we're going
Yes.
to talk about tonight,
Yes.
and it keeps you, that activity keeps your mind going. It keeps you sharp. It keeps you at a place where you can contribute. You want to contribute and do all of those things. So that determination to not just sit in the corner and say, oh well, I can't do that anymore. Well, maybe I can't do that, but there's something else.
Yes.
There's
There's
something
something
else.
else.
There are different things that can still keep you active and keep you in a good space, and it's good to tap into those things sometimes.
Yes. And I see that Jay joined us. Hey JR, thank you for joining. And thank
Yes.
y'all for being on. Bernie says, because if you don't use it, you can lose it.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Absolutely, Bernice, you got it.
Have to get in there and do what you can do
You can do
and
what you
push
can.
it forward. Um, the next thing that we were talking about after the support, we were going into listening,
Yes. Yes.
listening,
Uh-huh.
and how it's listening to people, but then listen they for them to be listening to you.
Exactly. I think that we miss the power in the art of listening
Mm,
sometimes.
yes,
A lot of times when you are in conversation with people, particularly if there's something going on in their lives, they're not looking for you to fix it. They're not looking for you to give your expert advice or
no,
share your wisdom or any of those things. They just want you to hear them out.
yes,
That's all. That's all. And a lot of times in the corporate area, a corporate arena when I was a manager, and people would come to me, and I'd ask him, first of all, I'd ask him, is this a closed door or an open door?
Mm.
That's the first question. Closed door or open door? And if they say closed door, then my next question was, are you venting, or is this something you want me to do something about?
Okay.
Because
That's
if you
good.
are venting, we
Yes.
can sit here all day long and you go for it. Just go into whatever you think you need to say to clear your mind, clear the clutter, get it off your chest, go for it. But if this is something that you want me to fix, you need to understand that it cannot necessarily be a secret.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
can't hold me to secrecy on it if I need to get other people involved in
Right.
order to help solve the problem. Because if those things aren't clear and the situation persists, then you get to a point of the individual saying, um, you told all my business. I didn't mean, I said
Right.
that, but I didn't mean for you to tell anybody. I didn't want you to tell anybody. Or you go on the other end where nothing is resolved and they say, I told you about that 6 months ago and you haven't done anything. You haven't, well,
Right.
you told me not to.
You told me not to say anything.
You know, and sometimes that is particularly an issue that comes through when we're dealing generationally. And
Yeah.
sometimes it depends on where you are. When
Right.
I first moved here, um, I found my peers and my colleagues and the people that reported to me, I found them to be very open, much more so than at home. Then home for me was DC. So we got the
Hmm.
northern version and the southern version. If I was here and someone lost a parent, they expected you to tell anybody who'd listen. You know,
Right.
Angie lost her mom. Oh, that's so and they reach out to the individual. At home, if I said Angie lost her mom, you, Angie, would come to me and say, I didn't tell you to let anybody know that. I didn't want anybody to know that. Because I didn't want people calling me. I didn't want to be that open or that vulnerable or that transparent or whatever. But you only know that when you have learned to listen
Yes.
and you have a better understanding as to who people are at their core so that you know what things work for them. Remember, last night we talked about being able to know, being able
Yes.
to know what you need. This helps not only you to know what you need, but the people that you know to know what
Yes.
you need, so that they're able to support you, so that they're able to help you in a way that is not offensive to you and in a way that really shows the love and the care that they have for you. And likewise, it's the same thing. How many times have you been talking to someone and you just want to say you're not listening to me?
Yeah, because they don't hear anything.
Not hearing what it is I'm trying to tell you, because you may have heard a part of it and you've decided, oh, this is what you mean. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on that process. And this particular, and I don't mean to be talking and fussing about the medical community because they're wonderful people. They really are. But I had an instance in talking to my doctor the last time I went, and he wanted to change medication. And anybody who knows me knows that I hate having to take medication.
Medication.
I know it's good for you, and doctors have been trained, and God is good and gives them the expertise to do it. But I just don't like having to take medication. So I was asking him about it, and we were talking about it and going back and forth as to what I should do. And I said to him, I said, if I was your mother sitting here, what would you tell me to do?
Mm.
How would you advise me if I was your mom sitting here? And he got quiet and he stayed quiet for a long time.
Mm,
And I said, now, if you have to think about it that long, we,
right.
we need to rethink this whole process because shouldn't take you that long to come up with an answer.
It shouldn't.
But sometimes that's what we need to do. You know, we need to take that step back, hear, really hear, uh,
Right.
not just the sound of what you're saying and the tone of what you're saying, but the content of what you're saying and what that really means.
Yeah.
And then that's where I think that you get that the power of understanding. When you can master the power of listening and being listened to, I think you really got an inroad to understanding what's going on. Let's see what Miss Linda had to say here. It's easier to understand and hear what someone is saying in a younger age group because you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
It is challenging for me to understand the older age group because I can't always relate. Ooh, that's good, Linda.
Yeah.
That's good. We can't always relate. And that's
Relate.
going to come up. That's going to come up again in another question that we've got to talk about tonight. That being able to relate. And I want to make a note of that because I don't want to forget because that is a question
Yes, that is.
we
That
had.
is
Um,
being able to relate. Yes. And do you think um like even with the listening skills and people listening to or that other person listening to the older person or however it works with them, do you think that could be like a cultural thing? Because I was listening to you when you were talking about in DC they would be like, okay, this is the way, and then here is this way, and the way that we respond to the 50 and above, even in listening and stuff, would it that be a cultural thing?
I think some of it is because I think it was you that was mentioning last night, and or somebody else may have brought it up as well, talking about the way that seniors are treated in Germany
Yes.
and in some other cultural places where they really revere, respect, admire, whatever words you want to put around it, the older generation, and uh, it they believe that it is their responsibility to take care of,
Yes.
and make sure they're all right. Because I think he was saying in Germany they really don't have a lot of senior citizen
Right.
facilities.
Facilities because they
Things
take care.
take care for people at home.
Yes.
So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. I think it has a lot to do with it as well.
Oh, wow. It is something. It's just, it amazes me how, like, from one place to another, like just in DC and being here,
Yeah.
the big difference and how people could get easily offended if they're not listening.
Can and do. Can and do. Yeah.
If you're not really listening,
Hmm.
listening to what someone is saying, and it helps us when we listen and when we're paying attention to listening to our bodies too, and
Oh
listening,
yeah.
and when things are happening in you to pay attention to it and
Hmm.
not just brush it off. Sometimes we have those aches, those pains, and we just try to brush it off. Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And like we talked about, I think we talked about it off camera about the falls and stuff.
Slips, trips, and falls. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Mm.
And when you have those, it's like, and then people, because when I had the fall, when I fell, I went to work. I got up, I brushed myself off, put my stuff together. I went to work. It didn't hit me till later on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, you need to go see a doctor. And then you think, I don't want to go because I don't want to pay this money for them to tell me nothing's wrong with me. But then you think about what if something is. You're not 20 no more. You don't just jump up and roll and go.
That's right. That's right. And if anybody that's listening to us tonight, if you have had any of these experiences, just put it in the comment section, and this will be another Me Too movement. You know, you will help us know we are not alone. these things, these things do happen. They do happen, and I have fallen. I have fallen up the steps. I have fallen down the steps. I have fallen when there were no steps. You know. I have, and I know that my balance is not what it used to be. My mobility is not what it used to be, and I can't just on a good day think that I can get up and just do me. I can just
Yeah.
well one do. No, girl, I better slow that roll. Gotta take my time, in terms of what I'm doing and where I'm going, and just be cautious. Be cautious of the things in my home that may cause me to slip. You
Right.
know, be careful of where I am. Getting out of the car. Go even crossing the street or what anything and anything that I'm doing out. I have to be more cognizant of what's around me
Yes.
than I used to than I used to. And there's nothing that we have to get away from being ashamed of or feeling bad because we're not able to do some things that we used to do,
Yes.
or
Very
that I can't feel bad. One of the things about listening, oh my goodness, and listening coincides with short-term memory issues.
Mm.
Oh, that's a polite way to put it. Short-term memory issues, because, and I remember this happening when I was in my 40s, late 30s, early 40s. And I was in the airport with my boss, and we were going to catch a plane. And I was talking to him about something, and the thought left me.
Left.
I mean, it was just wasn't there. I thought, what was I talking to him about? It just it went and it didn't come back. It was gone. It was gone. And I remember joking with him, and I said, "Is this what it's like when you start to get older?" He said, "Just like that, exactly." And we kind of laughed about it at the time, but I thought, man, this is a real thing. It's
It's
a
a
real thing.
real
Like
thing.
Leah said last night, ageism is a real thing. It
It's a
is.
real thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I see that Bernice had put up another comment.
Oh, let me see if I can pull it in. Hang in there, Bernice. Let's see. I think I did.
There we go. She said that she experienced an on the job injury where she fell down some doorsteps and sustained a back and knee injury.
Whew.
Wow.
And you
Yeah.
don't get over them easily.
No,
You
it's
don't get.
like because the body is not healing like it did when you were 20 or when you was like in your teens and you fell.
Mm-hmm.
You hop back up, you roll on about your day and didn't even think twice about it.
You think more than twice now.
Yeah.
I know I did.
Because when I get ready to walk down the stairs, I was like, okay, we're not going to do this today.
That's it. That is it. That is it. We have to be careful. We have to be careful, and not be not. I don't know. And you ask about it. Bernice said she still has residual effects from it.
Yeah.
Bernice, I know. I understand that. I fell at church one Sunday. I did not trip over anything. There was nothing in the floor. I still don't know what happened that made me fall. I was so grateful that I was not outside on the concrete
Yes.
and had it be that kind of fall. But we just have to be more aware. We
Yes.
have to be more aware of what's going on around us, and it will help. And those that are closest to us, I will say this, and this is in terms of support and everything too. Check on folks.
Yes. Yes. Check on them and see
Check on-
how they are doing. And
That's
then sometimes if you're close enough, go by, because not all the time will they say, "Hey," they're gonna be like, "I'm good,
right. That's right. You
doing well." But
and
you may go by to see them, and you like, "Okay, what's going on?"
yeah, and in the listening phase as well. Um, I had a young lady on my program one time who taught mental health first aid, and I took a course from her, and we were talking about how often it is that people say, "How you doing?" You know, "Hey, what's going on, girl? You good?" They even fill it in for you. You good? You know, and
Right.
that's, are you good? You good? You know, and they keep right on moving. And the
Yes.
fact of the matter is that she paused and said, "No, I mean really,
Yeah.
I mean really," and that is a good part of helping to know, helping to understand what people are going through in that listening process. You know, if I ask you how you doing, I really want you to tell me.
Yes.
I really want to know how you're doing. I can't go through all your medical records. I can't do anything like that. But if you even just say, you know, pray for me, you know,
Right.
say an extra prayer for me today. Or, you know, I'm not, and we're not talking about complaining. We're not talking about that.
Right.
But there are times that you're not as good as you
Yes.
want to
As you
appear
want to
that
be.
you are. And I had a health episode. I think it was in 22, started in 22, February of 22. And I was on the air at the time, and my thoughts were not coming through the way that they should have been. I don't know, Linda and Bernice may have even been on that program, and I kept thinking, "Gee, I wonder what that's about. I wonder what's happening." And I had someone call me right after the broadcast and say, Elder Hines, are you okay?" And I thought, okay,
Yeah,
something
something's not
wrong.
right.
Something went wrong. And after that, I picked certain people where I would be at certain times. Like I picked someone that I had conference calls with. I picked someone who was at my church, and I was very comfortable in saying to them, "If you ever see me and you see this happening, or you sense this happening,
Hmm.
here's contact. These are contact numbers. This is information. I may get angry, but know that it's okay if I do, because I need help. You know,
Yes.
these are red flags for me. These are things that are going on that are indicators, you know, that everything is not as
Right.
well, you know, as I want you to perceive it to be for me. So there are things that we can do, you know, with what's going on in between here, you know, this, to kind of help ourselves and help those people who say that they love us. But you know, they got to check on us sometimes. You know, just
Yes.
send a little note, send a text, do something like you said,
Yeah.
Angie. If you're close enough, stop by. Now, don't just kind of drop in.
Yeah.
That could
Don't
that's
do that.
a good thing.
No, don't do that.
but
Just
but at least give it some thought.
yes. Oh, oh man, let's go on to appreciation, because we wanted to go through some of the other questions and we are getting close to our time.
We sure are.
So
We sure are. I hope you all are enjoying this, and we are glad to be able to have you share in the conversation with us tonight and all the time. But
yes,
appreciation, man, that covers a lot of territory.
it does.
One word, because that is what, as we are growing older and as we are looking at And somebody was saying, talking about the next generation, talking to the next generation. And guys, we've decided that that is going to be a whole separate um, Carolina
Carolina conversation. Yes.
because of the things that you all told us that you were interested about, and it has to do with from generation to generation, so kind of be on the lookout for that. But we just want to know that we are not being tolerated.
Yes. We
We're
want to
not
be celebrated, not tolerated.
celebrated, and the way that you celebrate us is by letting us know you appreciate us. Could be a card, could be a date. Take us to get some ice cream or some, get a sandwich or a soda or something. Well, let's go to Cookout. Well, Chick-fil-A, anything.
Yeah, just to get out and just to enjoy, just to sit.
Yep. Get out, go into another venue,
Yes.
not my house, not your house, but go somewhere else. Go to a library and sit. Go for a ride. Just get out. Change your view. Change the venue where you are. But you know what does it more than anything else is to simply say, I appreciate you.
Yes.
I
Words.
appreciate you.
Powerful.
Thank you for what you did. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for spending time with me. And I'm doing something this year called Just Because. And randomly I'm sending people things. It may be a book, it may be a card, it could be a little thank you note, whatever God lays on my heart to send. But I don't want to wait till your birthday
Right.
because I don't remember birthdays well. Anybody who knows me knows that too. But it doesn't have to be an anniversary. It doesn't have to be a celebratory moment. Sometimes you need to do things just because.
Yes.
Just because somebody crossed your mind. Let
Yes.
them know you appreciate them.
And those are the best gifts. Those are the best things, even if it's just that text or, hey, I was thinking about you. How you doing? There's just those little things out of the blue mean so much. And it
They,
don't cost anything
nothing.
to
Nothing.
do that.
Nothing.
Oh my goodness. Oh well, okay. So can we get in like one more thing here? Oh my goodness. We were talking about being valuable, being vibrant, being virtuous. And then we talked about like where do we go to get like our motivation or our be to be poured into.
Mhm.
Um is that let's see. There's so much we want to talk about. um let's since we talked a little bit about appreciation and we said that we was going to talk about value, being valuable, being vibrant, being virtuous, let's talk a little bit about that, and maybe we'll be able to squeeze in that one question at the end.
um, which question?
The question about
Where do you turn?
where do you turn, or where do
Okay.
you go, or we can talk about that. Let's talk about that now, since we
Yeah,
did talk a little
let's
bit
do that
yesterday.
one because I think that that in terms of still being the three V's are something that we can cover from generation to generation,
Yes.
because I think that is important in terms of how we maneuver and manage keeping that open line of communication,
Right. Right.
from generation to generation. But the question came up: where do you go when you need to discuss things of similar circumstances? And where do you turn when you need to be poured into?
Yeah.
And these questions came up because we're pouring out a lot. The older generation is pouring out a lot, but we don't always get poured into. And that is something that we still need because we still need to keep our faith activated. We still need
Yes.
to believe for our now. and things like that. And we were just, because the question came up from the village and from the whole and beautiful nation, if there's anybody on the line who has a suggestion for that.
Yes.
And it is about being not just from generation to generation, but knowing that we are not alone, knowing
Right.
that, I have this going on with my adult children, or knowing that this is what I experience when I go to a doctor, or knowing, these kinds of things. There are forums like this where we are able to tap into our listeners and our viewers and ask them these questions. What do you do? Where do you turn? Do you have a Bible study group that you go to? Does your church have forums for people to get together and discuss? I know a lot of churches have small groups uh,
Yes.
that they lean towards, that sort of help with this. But if anybody out there has a suggestion on this topic, or can tell us what you personally are doing when you are in these spaces, maybe, I've got certain people that I pray with, as well as people that I pray for, but they're people that I pray with, because we have similar experiences, because
Right.
I can be transparent and open and vulnerable with them, and that works for me. That may not work for other people, but if you have any suggestions about that, we've got about 2-3 more minutes.
Yes, we do.
Let's
About
see.
two. But we
I think because of our age, we shouldn't always be the ones giving out wisdom, but we also should still be receiving wisdom.
yes,
Absolutely, Bernice. I believe
absolutely.
that as well. I believe that as well.
Because we need that.
We have to have it, because if we don't, we find ourselves running on empty.
Yes,
We poured out so much that we have nothing left, and then we don't know what to do with
what to do.
ourselves, or how to go about it. Angie, do you have any suggestions on that one in particular?
I am sort of like you, but I was thinking about people could do like a support group. I had somebody who started a support group because they needed the camaraderie. They needed people that they can talk to. So what they did was and it's not for like 50 and above, but I was like somebody could take that same concept. They were like, okay, I became what I needed. I needed a friend. I needed somebody to be
Ah,
there.
okay.
So they started a group where they can contact each other, talk to each other, pray with each other. They can be transparent. They can, say, hey, this is going on in my life right now. And you have different people who are chiming in and letting them know, hey, maybe you can do this, or oh, I know about this. If you're looking for a job, oh, I know about this place that's hiring, or
Mhm.
I know this place which you can deal with this. So that may be something that can be started for somebody. It's like you start your own group if you don't know of a group,
Mhm.
and say, okay, this is faith after 50. You know? And
Absolutely.
you get in there and you're able to be in a safe place to talk to each other, because I think that we need each other. We really do. And a lot of people have the information that we need. So we need to start talking to each other.
Bernie said there's senior centers where seniors go gather with other seniors, where they enjoy meals, games, etc. That's a good one, Bernice. And
Yes.
wherever you are living, if that is something that would interest you and that would help you in your journey, be sure that you check,
Yes.
as they used to say, check your local
Yes.
listing.
This things.
Just check and see, because there are things that are available to you.
Yes, they are. Good.
Angie, this has been great tonight.
Yes, it has. It's been wonderful. And I'm so glad that you all have joined. Thank you, Miss A, for the Carolina conversations.
Thank you, Miss Angio.
we are going to be back again sometime soon, guys, and we're going to have another topic that we're going to be talking about. We want y'all to join us. We want y'all to tell people about it, and we want this big forum going on so that we can talk to you and have fun and with the Carolina conversations. But you can we're going to have a replay of this show on tomorrow at 4 p.m. So if you want to go back, you can listen at 4. When Life Speaks will be at 12. So you can get part 1 at 12 o'clock, part 2 at 4.
Absolutely.
And I will be back here again next week, 7 p.m. on Friday, ready to bring you whole and beautiful. I am Angela the Oliphant here with Andrea L. Hines. We're allowing you to see, hear, and know that whole and beautiful is not just your destination. It is most definitely your journey. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll talk to you again soon.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in. If you would like to be a guest or recommend a guest, you can contact me at wholebeautiful@gmail.com. On all other social media platforms, it's Whole and Beautiful. Remember, Whole and Beautiful is not just your destination, it is most definitely your journey.